Welcome to Scottish AI in Schools Week 2026. Let's recap the amazing progress we've made.
Last session for Scottish AI in Schools Week. We just do this as a week to kind of focus it and just give us an opportunity to talk about it within a particular vein. But as we know, it's not just one particular week. We use it consistently. I certainly know from people on the call that you've been attending different sessions, and I know you are actively using AI. So it's great that we get a chance to look at how we can use different tools effectively for both pupil engagement and for our own productivity. I'll just start sharing my screen here again. There we go. So the purpose of today's session is to look at Gemini Gems, gems which are within Gemini that we can use to customize and really create a little walled garden of an AI assistant that we can use for a specific purpose. As Aileen's saying there, some of the stuff that she's been using Gems for is like marking BGE materials. Essentially, any repetitive task that you know you're going to use AI for over and over and over again, that's where a gem can really come into play. And what we're looking at is moving from basic prompting, or there's no such thing as a basic prompt. The better the prompt, the better the output, but moving away from repetitive prompts or prompts done in isolation to something that is more specialized and automated within that particular vein, within that particular walled garden. The advantage that we have of using Gemini and using Gems within our Glow landscape is obviously that data privacy. We know that using it within Glow, we have that opportunity to keep anything that we share safe. We are not necessarily using that data to train the wider models. We are getting all the advantage of the wider trained models, but we are not adding to it. So I'm really a big fan of the fact that, yes, I use Gemini and I use Google in my own personal life, but when it comes to education, when it comes to teaching and learning, when it comes to pedagogy of what I'm doing within class, keeping it within a safe and secure environment is obviously key. We know that's key for our learners, especially as they're beginning to learn how to navigate in a growingly collaborative and cloud-based world. So we need to make sure that we are setting a good example, and by doing things within that safe and secure enclave and environment really makes things better for ourselves. We know that data, we'll skip that slide. So what is a gem? And I was trying to, I asked Gemini this. I said, how could I explain gems to someone who had never heard what a gem is before? And it gave me a few outputs that I'll share with you. And this is where I like using Gemini for these types of things. So I said, right, what is a good way to describe a gem to someone who has never heard of the term before? And Gemini being Gemini, it gives you that pat in the back. What a great way, happy to help you refine. But since you're presenting to teachers who may be new to AI, using relatable analogies can help the concept click immediately. So here's a few effective ways to describe a gem to a beginner. So it's a pre-brief apprentice. So imagine hiring a teaching assistant and spending an entire afternoon explaining exactly how you'd like your lesson plans formatted, which CFE levels you teach, and your school-specific tone, the way you, certainly as a reformed maths teacher, I know that we had a certain way that we did percentages. So that type of thing can be introduced into it. The other example it gave me was the expert in a box, which is like having a specialized tool. It's a spanner that's only used, it's a socket wrench that's only used for a specific purpose. And it reads whatever you put into it. So different ways that you can look at it, as well as, the packaging within your own expertise. So you're taking your knowledge, the way that you like to differentiate, the way that you like to create. I have a gem that is set to my specific role and set to my specific style and set to the specific way that I like to say things. I like to say learner, I don't always say pupil. I like to say certain words and phrases. So I can train a gem to do that to my particular style. And it can be a smart template. We all love a good template. We all love opening Book Creator or opening Docs or opening Word and using one of the pre-built-in templates. That's what a gem is. It's a template that talks back to you, and it goes to work for you. So you know that you may be like this template, but you then change it. Well, all of those changes that take place, gems remember that and they work through it within that. So I quite like the smart template. I think is a good way. So there's three main parts that make up a gem. The persona, right? Acting as and I think Mr. Kirkpatrick, you had said in the chat there, a primary six teacher. So acting as a primary six teacher in Scotland. Aileen acting as a secondary teacher who likes specific oils in her humidifier, that type of thing. Mr. Rodman, the stuff that you were doing with your class, you can say acting as a teacher in Scotland, this. So actually saying who you are and what you want the gem to act like means that you get that better output. If there is something you want it to do, and I'll show you a couple of examples and a couple of places that you can download examples, that's what's quite good for it. So acting through the steps of the instruction that you want it to do, making sure that it is differentiating for level 1, level 2, level 3, so on and so forth. And then the knowledge. What should it refer to? What files should it use? If you upload, Aileen, you're saying you were talking about the VGE stuff, so I would assume that you've uploaded the benchmarks and the experiences and outcomes so that it knows where it's marking from. If you are needing to maybe generate exam style questions, then you might want to upload previous past papers and marking schemes so that you can generate. We're getting into that, especially in secondary, we're getting into that national qualification scheme, and we might need to generate. I've got a P3, I've got an S3 and an S5 pupil at home, so having a gem that is specifically set with the knowledge of previous past papers so it can generate new question types, that can be beneficial in that regard. So thinking about the anatomy of a gem in three separate ways: the persona, the instruction, and the knowledge. Who it is, what it's doing, what it's referring to. That's the sort of the three ways to look at it. So let's go in and take a look and start building. So let's share this tab instead. So just checking everyone can see that. Can someone just give me a thumbs up that you can see Aileen? Please come off. Yep, awesome. Great stuff. So that's good. I'd always just like to check, because I don't know if you've noticed, if you're sharing a tab in the browser version of Teams and you switch between multiple tabs, that's okay, no worries. If you go through and you press multiple tabs, asking it to share, it knocks it off. It's weird how it does that. But this is obviously your Gemini chat pane. Gemini is obviously your chatbot. Under my three dots here is where I expand the menu, and then you can see Gems sits here. Now, when you tap on Gems, there are already a few that are pre-made by Google that you can see. So you can use a few of them, and some of these are set for education. I'm a huge fan of the Storybook one, so if you've seen that before, you know how the Storybook one works, where I can create a story and I could say my primary six class are reluctant readers, but all really like gaming. Create a story about a young boy who becomes interested in reading game instructions and becomes a better gamer. Just something like that. So if you've ever used the Storybook One with your pupils, it's kind of like if you know the app Book Creator, where Book Creator is obviously an online version where kids can create their own books, but this Storybook Maker is a great way to kind of just create a custom story. It's a good way to engage learners with their reading for enjoyment. It's a good way to do something as a classroom activity. It's also then a book that you can download and you can share. So you can put it into a Teams folder or into a classroom folder and allow the kids to do it. You can also have it up on the board and actually go through it as a reading activity. But what I really like about this is that it just creates a nice short visual, but it also allows it to be read aloud. So we can have that sort of differentiated aspect to it as well, where people can they can hear the story, they can see the story going together, and it's just a nice, simple activity that can be done, but it can be done over and over again. And that's just a pre-built one that comes in with Gems. I'll show you in a wee second how easy it is to actually build one, and how useful it can become as you start to go through. So it's just an engaging story for P6 pupils, and you can just see it's called the Ultimate Walkthrough. And we can download it, we can make it full screen, we can listen to it.
The Ultimate Walkthrough. Leo was a master of the thumbsticks. In the world of Starslayer, he was a fearless pilot, dodging asteroids and blasting aliens with lightning reflexes.
What's quite good as well is we can change to a lower pitched voice.
Leo was a master of the thumbsticks. In the world of Starslayer, he was a fearless pilot, dodging asteroids and blasting.
So the fact that it's just created that with a single prompt is just a massive positive. It's just a great thing. I'm a big fan of it because I think it's a superb way to look at how you can go through. And what's quite good about this is using a gem sits in my, I do apologize, creating a gem does then sit in my chat. So it then does become part of my chat history that would still be there. So just refresh my page. There we go. So it exists. I don't have to go back and do that prompt again. Creating a prompt is extremely easy and quick to do, or creating a gem, sorry. So let's go into gems, and you can see we have gems that exist there. I'm going to look at this one, the CFE aligner. What I'm actually going to do is delete it, because I'm going to show you how I built this one. So when you create a gem, you'll see that it gives you a few instructions. Right? It wants the name, the description, the instructions, and then what knowledge you want it to work from. So the knowledge, the gem that I'm going to be working from just now is all about creating differentiated text. So let me just go to, and this is a good bit of advice if you're doing this with other teachers, to have everything you need pre-built. So this one I'm going to call the, what am I going to call it? Let's have a think. Let's just call it CFE aligner. So that's going to be my name, description, what do I want it to do. So for this one, I want to, purpose of this is to differentiate how to, demonstrate how to differentiate a single piece of text. And then I'm going to give it some instruction. So the instruction is the important part, because this is going to be the thing that it does repeatedly, right? This is the thing it's going to do over and over. So you have to be quite good with this, but don't be afraid to go back and say, that's not quite right. I want you to change this a little bit. So let's see if I get my instructions here. So remember, I was going to say about the persona. So for this one, its persona is the CFE aligner. Let me just zoom in there so you can see what I'm typing in. So you are the CFE aligner, a specialist in the Scottish Curriculum for Excellence. Your goal is to help teachers differentiate learning materials instantly. All right. So this is you essentially programming your own your own private assistant that is specifically going to do something within a particular set of instructions. So the thing that I want each of them to do is, if I give it a piece of text, I want it to differentiate it. Okay, so here's my instructions. So let me just take that down so you can see. When I provide a text or a copy, we write it into 3 distinct versions: early level, first level, and second level. Ensure the early level version uses simple sentences. Ensure the first level version is accessible but introduces more descriptive vocabulary. Always present, and that's quite good, bold headers, so that when I get the output, and you'll see in a wee second, it will show you how each of it works. Follow the text with a key vocabulary list for each. And I've also got the tone. I want it to say professional, encouraging, and educationally grounded. The other thing I want it to do is I want it to refer to, just so it has it in the background. Let me see if I go through, that's all my past papers, got this downloaded. There's all the E's and O's. So I'm going to take all of the E's and O's, put that in there, and then I'm going to test it. So to test it, I can give it a piece of text, any text at all, that I would want to use. So let's just test it with, let's just get a passage into a quick Google Doc that I have here. It's got one. So I've got an example. To Adobe Express poster. So if I was maybe doing this as a training session and I was giving my pupils text and I was maybe looking at mixed ability classes or just differentiating, as we often do. So right now my gem isn't saved. I'm just testing this. So if I paste in a test out of text and then tap submit, all it's going to do is work through these instructions, refer to the E's and O's, but then it's going to give me the output that I asked it. And if you remember, the output that I asked it to give me was 3 distinct levels, and it will tell me how it has worked. I am the CFE aligner. I've adapted your text. This aligns with social studies, people past in. So you can see it's used the E's and O's, and it said, right, here is your key vocabulary. Here's your first level, which is telling me that that's the end of P4. There's my second level. Okay, so that seems to be working. So I'm going to save that, and that now becomes one of my gems. So when I go into gems, that's now sitting here as a gem that I can use. All right. So if I go into this again, I could find a paragraph on the Vikings. Maybe that's part of my class topic. Let me just choose Gemini for this. I can use in a demo. Right, so let's use my CFE aligner now and see how this would work. So you can see it's different. It's not just telling me that it's Gemini. I can still use tools for it. I could still create an image, but it wouldn't be using external knowledge. So I would just paste in my text. And if I use my submit button, it's using my CFE aligner for the knowledge as a custom gem. It's analyzing it, and then it's going to give me the output. So it's giving me early level, giving me my key vocabulary, it's giving me my first level, my key vocabulary, my second level, and my key vocabulary. So that's quite good. That was working quite nicely. But there's other, once you really start getting into how gems work and what you can actually use gems for, you can take it a little bit further. You can go into a bit more detail. I should maybe build a gem for better use. But let's maybe see one that would help us generate maybe a reporting structure. So let's see if we can create one that would help us make something that we would do for giving custom feedback. So let's create another gem. And again, once you get into this, the process becomes quite simple to do. It's really just going to be a case of what ideas we want. I'll give you a couple of links of websites that give you some examples. So this one is called the Report Buddy. The purpose of this one is to show how to take different examples, show how to turn brief observations into professional, parent-ready report comments. So this could be quite good to act as a buddy when you're maybe doing parents' evenings, just as a quick way to generate when you put in the pupil name, and it will give you the feedback you put about a knowledge bank that you put in, and that could work quite nicely. Let's see, let's get my instructions. So again, you give it its persona, you say what you want it to be, how you want it to act, and the output you want it to give. So let's go into my instructions. I'll zoom in there again. Let's take out, I'll provide the student's name. About the progress, good at add it to the date. You will draft 100 to 150 word report. Use phrases common in Scottish education. Ensure the tone is balanced. Celebrates achievements first. Then provide a constructive next step for learning. The persona is a supportive colleague who's excellent at professional writing. So you're the report buddy, an expert admin assistant for Scottish teachers. You specialise in drafting student reports that are professional, objective, and aligned with CFE terminology. So for this one, I might put in the benchmarks. What you could also do here is you could use Gemini. If you've got a rough idea of what you've put in, you could use Gemini to maybe rewrite that. You could say, this is a rough idea of what I want this to be done for. But Gemini could maybe help you rewrite it just then and there. So if I just tap rewrite, it just uses the Gemini API to help me rewrite it in a more cohesive manner. So again, that would work quite nicely. I might add in my E's and O's again, just because obviously you could also add in the benchmarks, but I'm just going to put in the E's and O's. And then I could say, it's going to upload those, get a tick when it's done. And then what's quite good here is if I find that this is working, I could then put in, there we go. So let's test it and see what we get. So I have Martin, good with technology, easily distracted, hard worker, struggles with reading, P6 pupil, working towards level 2. So just a few lines. So again, this could be something that could be quite good to give us a couple of talking points for a parents' evening. So you can see the persona is telling me that it's friendly. It's, this humanification that we give chatbots. It's a pleasure to assist you. It's not a pleasure. I've asked you to do it. You're not doing this from the goodness of your heart. You're doing it because I've told you. But we do find there's been research that we tend to interact better with some of these tools when they have a bit of a human element to them. Student report. Martin is a hardworking and committed pupil who consistently demonstrates the attributes. He's shown particular strength in using ICT to enhance learning. I should bloody well hope so, it's my job. Constantly selecting and using various development tools to create and refine. Effectively developing. So you can see it's using all the correct phrases. It's using the stuff that I have. If you have particular guidance, you can see here that it's even shown that it's referred to those documents. Right, it's went through all the E's and O's and it's referred to each of those. So we can have developing, consolidate, and secure. And we can look at that, maintaining that it manages distractions, ensuring he maintains a consistent focus. So that could be another useful tool. So I'm going to save that one because I might use that again. So again, it's just the ways in which you want to, you want to build these different things. You can even go into Gemini and you could say, I want to build a gem that will use past papers to create custom questions. Help me build the instructions I can paste to create the gem. I have already downloaded past papers and marking schemes. So even using a custom gem can be quite useful. Right, so there we go. It's given me a few ideas. Yeah, refine these for applications of maths. So there's the custom gem instructions. So I could just take this now and just copy the whole lot. Right? I could fire it into a doc if I wanted to. Let's do that. And then what I'm going to do now is within my Google Gemini Gems page, I'm going to build that based on those instructions and see if it works. So let's go into Gems and create a new gem. Let's call it the Maths Exam Architect, and let's get the instructions for it. So, starting with the role. And again, you can even have the Gemini tools in this part, refine them. So let's use Gemini to rewrite those instructions. Let's make sure they're a bit clearer. Okay, let's add in some files. So you could even use a notebook LM. So if you've got a notebook LM that already has all of this information in it, and you notice I'm just going, or you won't see, but what I'm doing just now is I'm just adding files, and I've just selected multiple files here. So that's all of the past papers and all of the marking instructions for National 5 applications of maths. So I could, the whole idea here is I could ask for a question on a particular topic. So generate an exam style question on profit and loss. So what I quite like about using custom gems in this way is obviously past paper questions or exam style questions in this particular way are really important for learners to get through. So there we go. So it's given me the problem, it's given me a question, and it's given me the marking scheme, which I can then export to sheets. And I can also look at where the marking scheme should award the answers. So that can be really useful. It's also really helpful that you can upload multiple files in the one go. And if I tap save there, that one is now available. Now, the other thing that we should be able to do soon, I think I can do it just now, and I'm hoping it's going live with you guys just shortly, is being able to share gems, so between teachers. So, for example, if I go to the report buddy, if I go to that, and then I go to my three dots, there should be an option soon. I don't know if it's went live with you guys yet, but you'll be able to share it so that you can share it between teachers. So if I go to anyone with the link and copy the link, and then put it into my chat, you should be able, if this is working, you should be able to tap on that link and have it create a copy of the report buddy in your Gemini. Now, we should have that feature. I think I'll double check with the Go team. That feature was slated to go live today. I don't know if it is all, I don't know if it's all completely live yet, but it should work. Okay. If it hasn't gone live for you yet, it should and will and hopefully be coming. We have been going through the steps with that. The other thing I promised you guys was that we could, I would give you some examples of gems that you can download yourself. So there is a website called edugems.ai. I'll put a link into the chat. Thanks for letting me know that worked, Aileen. So edugems.ai, those are some examples that have been shared internationally. There's a really good guy whose name I can't remember. I want to say it's Eric Kurt. I don't know if I'm right in that one. Yeah, I'll look at that. I was right. Yeah, so Eric Kurtz, absolutely brilliant educator, really good at sharing various things. And he's got some really good gems on this page, things that you can use it for. It's split down. Now, some of it is Americanized, but that doesn't mean that you can't customize it and change it. So something that you might find useful, yes, you'll see things like grading partner, or you'll see, but some of these tools can be quite useful. Just sort of, like things like this, if you're looking for a way that you can start to use AI in what we call SAMR substitution, substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. That's what we call the way that we can design learning experiences, where we can use it in a particular way. So there's two ways: you can just use it, or you can copy it. I always choose my own copy because I like to be in control of what I use. So when I tap make your own copy, it gives me the option to create my own copy. So I'll just call it AI and SAMR activity. Now what you will notice is different here is when I go through, look at the length of the instructions that they have. Absolutely. So you might want to take that text, you might want to copy it. Okay. So sorry, I just realized it wasn't sharing. When it copies, okay, keep me posted daily and just keep trying it. If it's not, we'll see if we can get it going. So one of the things that you might want to do is take the instructions that they give you, and you might want to then rewrite it. So if I take those instructions and say, rewrite these instructions to be more Scottish focused, using terms, I'm just finishing up, folks, using terms commonly found in Scottish education. So I've just taken the instructions, and there we go. We note on layout. Whoops, I've got to paste them. Okay, so that's my fault. Typing's really, never noticed how you're, it's just, yeah. So never settle for it just be a single instruction. Never be happy with it. Always go through. So that's us coming to the end of that. I realised that this was more of an opportunity to introduce you to Gems and show you some of the ways in which Gems can be used. There's two QR codes I've got there. You've already seen EduGems, so the cheat sheet is just a way that you can get started with it. That's the one in green is the cheat sheet one. So if you're wanting to get a copy of that, that's just some of the stuff that I've been talking about with how Gems are used. And also I've got an evaluation. The best way that I can figure out how to be better with doing these sessions is to get feedback from yourselves. The fact that you guys have taken the time on a Thursday afternoon to come along and attend this is really encouraging, and I hope to do a lot more of these, which we do loads of them, but it won't be the last time that we're doing them. So please, if you get the chance, provide me with some feedback. It's the best way that I can learn how to meet the needs of some of the attendees. If you have attended, I do appreciate that. If you've attended any of the other sessions and you've got specific feedback on some of the things I've spoken about in that regard, please let me know. But that's us. It really is, I could talk to you for an hour about this, but it's, in fact, I could probably talk to you for longer, but it's to make sure that we get an opportunity for you to get a bit of hands-on and having a go with it. So giving you as many different options that you can take away and use is hugely beneficial. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming along. I'm going to stop the recording